In this video I want to talk about the new block update system of 1.13 because some things have changed. For example, in 1.12 and before, if you had a redstone line like this and you had blocks in invalid states above, then the redstone would send out block updates, and this would update these blocks and they would then fall down or pop off or get destroyed or whatever. And this still kind of happens. These blocks do still get block updates, but they don't get the right kind of update, and therefore they don't fall down. On the other hand, over here we have some other blocks, and if we give these block updates, when they receive the block updates, then they just do everything as it was before. And the difference between these two things is that in 1.13 there are now two kinds of block updates. There is the old block update system, which is based on the neighbor changed method in the code. I will call these kinds of updates NC updates for short. And there's now a new kind of block update, which is also important, which is called the post placement update in the code. I will call them PP updates for short. And when you place a block somewhere in the world, then it will usually send out both NC updates and PP updates to all blocks around it. So if I, for example, place this well right here, then we will get NC updates in all these blocks, and we will get PP updates also in all of these blocks. And then there are some blocks which additionally send out updates further away. For example, redstone dust, when it turns on, sends out block updates 2 blocks away. So if I turn this on, then we will get an update over here and here, and these will be purely NC updates. These will not be PP updates. And these are some blocks which send out additional updates, which are purely NC now and no PP updates. And some blocks react only to PP updates, while other blocks react also to NC updates. For example, whales pop off if they receive an NC update, which means that if we power this redstone, then this whale will get an NC update, it will react, and then it will pop off. On the other hand, the carpet is a block which does not react to NC updates. It only pops off if it gets a PP update. So if we turn this redstone on, then this carpet over here will get a PP update and pop off, but this carpet over here will not pop off because it will not get a PP update. It will only get an NC update. Yeah, okay. And you can build block update detectors for both of these updates. So right here we have an NC update detector, which is just a usual block update detector like before. And up here we have a PP update detector, and this one only detects it if you place a block right next to this chest. So if I place a block right here, then something will happen in the contraption, while if I turn on some redstone dust somewhere around here, then it will not update the contraption because it only detects PP updates. So that's red. And right here I have made a collection of blocks which react to NC updates, and over here I have made a collection of blocks which react to PP updates. So let's just go through this so you get a feeling for what kinds of updates these are. So right here we have blocks which can get destroyed when we get an NC update. This means this, for example, TNT igniting or redstone components popping off or rails popping off. While over here we have blocks which can get destroyed upon a PP update. These are basically everything else that can pop off in some way, like plants or anything which is attached to a block, or a sign, right here we have a sign, or a carpet, or a dead coral. Okay. Then over here we have blocks which react to in some different way to NC updates, but don't destroy themselves. For example, piston heads will send out block updates to the base, or sponge can soak up water, or frosted ice can turn into water when it's updated by another frosted ice blocks. While over here we have blocks which react in some different way when they get a PP update. For example, repeaters can decide that they want to use this nice bedrock bar, or lava can turn into obsidian, or concrete powder can turn into solid concrete. So these are just some examples. Then over here we have blocks which schedule something when they get an NC update. These are all redstone components and liquids. And over here we have blocks that schedule something when they get a PP update. These are gravity affected blocks. These are corals deciding whether they want to die. These are farmlands, which wants to decide whether it wants to turn into dirt, decaying leaves. And for some reason waterlogged blocks are in here, which is kind of weird, but this is what the PP update detector is based on. Yeah, and I will be back in a minute. So another thing to note about PP updates is that they often care which direction they come from. So for example, right here we have a torch in an invalid state, and if I place a block next to it, then the torch will receive a PP update, but it will not pop off because the torch is programmed in a way that it only reacts to PP updates which come from below. So for example, if I place a block here and destroy it, then the torch will pop off, while if I place any blocks above or to the side, then the torch or the pressure plate will not react because it's simply coded to ignore any any PP updates which come from other sides than below. So can pop them off if you update them from below. And here we have a locked repeater, where I edited the save file in a way that this does display that it's a locked repeater, and it will display that it's locked once I give it a PP update from the site. But if I give it a PP update from any other, oh, that's interesting, I didn't know it. Okay, and if you give it a PP update from the site or from above, then it will display the bedrock bar, and otherwise it will not react to any updates here or here. Anyway, but this is purely visual anyway, it's not important. Anyway, with this we have covered these two kinds of updates, and we now finally can get to pistons. I will go over what happens when a piston pushes a bunch of blocks, and then I will explain what this has to do with TNT duping. So when a piston wants to push up a bunch of blocks, and he has already checked that they are movable and anything, then he does the following things. The first thing he does is he creates a list of all the blocks he wants to destroy and wants to move. So for example, if this piston were to extend, then he would make a list of blocks he wants to move. That would include the iron block, and it would include these 4 slime blocks. And the piston would also make a list of blocks he wants to destroy, and that would include this melon block. And after the piston has made these lists, he will go over to destroy all the blocks out of the list of blocks he wants to destroy. So he would destroy the melon, that's the only block he wants to destroy. And when he destroys the melon, he will send out no NC updates and no PP updates. He will send out special breaking updates. So for example, if I break redstone dust, then it will send out special NC updates 2 blocks away. These will be sent in these files, and you can use this to duplicate TNT and stuff. These will still happen, but there will be no normal NC updates and there will be no PP updates. So for example, in this example right here, the carpet would still stay here because it would simply get no update from the melon. Then after the piston has destroyed the blocks, he will move the blocks. This means that he will generate a bunch of block 36, and in this phase, wherever the block 36 gets generated, he will send out a PP update. He will send out no NC updates, and interestingly, he will even suppress special block breaking updates from other blocks. So for example, if you break a rail, then it will normally send out block updates diagonally below it, but these will be suppressed in this phase, except if they come from observers. Observers are some strange exception where they forgot to suppress the special block updates. If you move a powered observer, it sends out block updates even though it gets a flag telling it do not send out special block updates. But the observer just ignores it and says, I don't know, I'll do it anyway. Okay, so that's this phase. It will send out PP updates, and in this example, this torch right here will get broken in this phase, because this torch will get a PP update from below, and it will see that the block below it has no solid top surface because it's block 36, and then this torch will get destroyed in this phase. Another interesting thing to note is that the way in which the blocks get moved is a little bit different than in previous versions. Previously in 1.12, if you had a bunch of blocks and you moved one, then what the game did is that they deleted one block and then it placed one block 36, then it deleted another block, placed another block 36, deleted another block and placed another block 36. But in 1.13 it does things differently. What it does is that it first places the block 36 and then it places the next block 36 and then it places the next block 36 and so on. And if there's some block which does not get replaced by block 36, then this block will actually stay during the entire phase and it will only get removed later. Namely, it will get removed in the next phase, which is called the remove leftover blocks phase. I mean, these names are not in the code, I just call them that. So after we have created all the block 36, we will remove the leftover blocks. In this case, there is only one leftover block, namely this slime block right here. The slime block will get destroyed, and during this phase we will send out no NC updates, but we will send out PP updates, and we will again suppress special breaking updates except from observers. So in this case, this torch right here would get removed because the slime block would get destroyed and it would send out PP updates, and the torch would get the PP updates and then the torch would get destroyed. Another interesting thing which I might mention in this step is that this rail still stays here even though it's in an invalid state, because this rail only reacts to NC updates and it only got a PP update, and rails completely ignore PP updates. So that's why this rail is still here. Anyway, moving on in the example. Another thing that's important to note in the remove leftover blocks phase is that the blocks get destroyed in a location dependent order. If you have multiple blocks which got left over, then the order in which the blocks get destroyed will depend on a hash set, which means that it's different for different locations, and it even depends on the Java version. Okay. After we have done that, we will send out updates. We will send out NC updates around all the blocks which have been moved. And in this example, this would destroy the whale, because when the whale gets an NC update, it will see that it's in an invalid position, and then it will destroy itself. While the carpet will not react to the NC update. The carpet did get PP updates previously, but it didn't pop off because it had block 36 underneath of it, and then it's in a better position. So overall what will happen is that the torches and the rail pop off while the carpet stays here. And you can now test this and see that this is exactly what happens. The torches pop off while the carpet stays. Okay. And you can now use this to make TNT duplication. I should maybe explain, I will very quickly explain what the idea behind TNT duplication is, but if you want a more detailed explanation of the idea behind TNT duplication, you can watch my previous video about that. Anyway, the idea behind TNT duplication is that we first make it so that the piston enters a TNT block into the list of blocks he wants to move. Then after the piston has done that, we will ignite the TNT, so that we get an ignited TNT block. But after that, the piston will still remember that it wants to move a TNT block, and then it will still create a block 36 of a TNT block, and then that will duplicate the TNT. And if you want a deeper explanation for that, then ask someone else. Okay. Anyway, we can now use this knowledge we gathered here to make TNT duplicators. For example, whenever we have a yes on one of these signs right here, where I explain which updates get sent, we can use it for a TNT duplicator. For example, in the destroy block phase, we know that special breaking updates get sent. So we can use this to make a TNT duplicator, which looks like this. In this TNT duplicator, we exploit the fact that special breaking updates get sent during the destroy block phase. So when this piston extends, what he will do is he will enter this TNT into the list of blocks he wants to move, and he will enter this redstone dust into the list of blocks he wants to destroy. Then he will destroy the redstone dust. The redstone dust will send out special NC updates all over the place, and it will in particular send out an NC update to the TNT. The TNT will ignite, but since the TNT is in the list of blocks the piston wants to move, the TNT will still get moved, and then we get something like this. We now got 2 TNT, as you can see down here. So this duplicated TNT and the other TNT only ignited because that is something stupid. Anyway, then another maybe more useful TNT duplicator relies on the fact that when we generate the block 36, we can send out PP updates, and this can also be used to update the TNT and igniters, and this leads, for example, to the following TNT duplicator based on dead corals. So this TNT duplicator, just showed it works first, so you can see here that it duplicates TNT, and the way this TNT duplicator works is in the following way. We first enter all of these 3 blocks into the list of blocks we want to move. Then we will generate block 36. We will first generate a block 36 of the slime block. Then we will generate a block 36 of the dead coral. And then the coral will be attached to our block 36 and it will receive a PP update, and then it will pop off. And when the dead coral pops off, it will update the TNT, so the TNT will get an update and ignite. But after that, the piston will still generate a block 36 of the TNT, and then we will get TNT duplication. So that's the basic idea. And since the game forgot to suppress updates from observers, you can also duplicate TNT by moving activated observers and using those block updates. Okay. Then we can also make TNT duplicators, which are based on the fact that PP updates get sent when we remove the leftover blocks. But you need to be careful with this because this is location dependent. So you can make a TNT duplicator which looks like this, where the coral will get destroyed when the leftover blocks get removed and update the TNT, and in some locations this duplicates the TNT, but if I make the exact same setup in a different location, then it might fail to duplicate the TNT. So you need to be a little bit careful. If you don't know what you're doing, that it can happen that you make a location dependent TNT duplicator. As a general rule of thumb, if TNT gets replaced by a block 36, and the TNT duper still works when it's 100% location independent, then you are definitely in this case. And if TNT does not get replaced by any block 36, then you have to pay attention because it might be location dependent. If you're lucky, it's not, but it might be. Yeah, that's almost everything I wanted to say. The only interesting thing is maybe that since the game suppresses the special block breaking updates from whales and other moving blocks, you can get blocks into invalid states. For example, right here we push a detector whale, and the detector whale should send out block updates diagonally below it to the redstone, but those get suppressed and they don't send them afterwards. So here we get a budded redstone, and you can also get other blocks into invalid positions with this. And yeah, that's basically everything. Here we have a location dependent carpet duper. Totally useless. Anyway, this is everything. Bye.